Hello everyone, and Happy New Year to you, and thank you for taking the time to join us on the first webinar of the year. Hi Gudrun, you're the first one to post in the chat. If you'd just like to post in, just let us know. Hi Pascal was straight after you, and Sarah, Kirsten, and there's Shakura. She's going to be looking after the chat. Thank you Shakura for looking after the chat today. And yeah, so we made this a kind of an annual event now. We started off a few years ago doing a special webinar or a couple of webinars at the beginning of each year, just to do some tuning in, finding out where we are in our own energy. I mean, I love to do that myself, so I just thought I'd open it up and we can do it together. It's going to be a pretty packed webinar now for the next hour. Got lots of exercises for us to do, to work through, to tune into our energy and to prepare ourselves for the year ahead. We're going to be using some focusing, energy work exercises, some clean language, and all kinds of things. So let's load up the slides and see what we've got in store for the next hour. Okay, so here we are. Here's the lovely graphic I found for 2022. I just thought it's a great image, isn't it, of just spreading our wings and having a vision for the future year. So that's where we are. Let's just see what we've got in store for us in the next hour on this webinar. So I'm just introducing it now. We're going to be doing some whole body scanning and some vibrational level scanning of the self. So you need a pen and paper with you so that you can join in and draw the scans. I'll be doing it with you. And we're going to be thinking about our own personal development in 2022 in relation to our Shiatsu, but also personally how we're feeling about the year ahead. And then we're going to do some clean language. What would you like to have happen? That's the outcome question. Thank you, Nick Pohl. And then we're going to challenge ourselves to make 3 practical steps that we can do to realize our dreams for the year up. And then we've got some news on the program. We're putting the program together now. We're finalizing the program for the next 3 months on new energy work. Really excited about that. We've got some amazing presenters coming up and some lovely events for you. So yeah, we can have a little bit of a news session at the end there. Okay, great. So let's have a look. It's lovely. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us. It's great to see so many familiar names on the chat. Okay, so let's see what's got in store on the next slide. Yep. Okay, so it's basically a regular annual event now. We're going to be exploring our key, tuning into our levels, and finding out what we'd like to have happen. Right, okay, so let's start off immediately. We're going to do an exercise number 1. And actually, I've developed this exercise this year. As you'll see, if you were here last year, you can remember what we did. We've actually developed it a little bit more. But we're going to be starting off by doing some focusing. That's basically tuning into our whole energy pattern and just getting an overview of our energy. That will start us off with a kind of baseline sensation of our key, which we can then work with in the rest of the webinar. Okay, so I've got a blank sheet of paper here, and this is exercise 1. You might want to just label it because you'll have quite a lot of information about yourself by the end of the webinar. So I'm going to label it number 1, and this is a whole body scan. I'm going to do it standing up. You can do it sitting down, whatever's most comfortable for you. I'm going to lead you through it, and then we'll do a drawing in a moment, and we'll draw how energy is. And I'm going to ask you some questions. I've got plenty of polls ready for you to fill in, and we'll find out as a group how we are and work from there. Okay, so you can stand or sit, it doesn't really matter. I'm just going to stand, relax. I'm not going to do too much now because I don't want to change too much in my energy. So the same, if you can do the same, just basically accept how you are. And we're going to scan down. We're going to use the photocopier method. This is a method where we basically focus through our whole body, and we're tuning in on every level of key all the way through, just to see if we've got any major things happening or general qualities to our energy. Okay, so you're ready? So we're just going to stand and bring our awareness just above the top of our head here. And we're going to slowly scan down through the top of our head, checking out our eyes, our ears, jaw, our throat, and working down through our body, Checking out through our arms, down into our fingertips. And then scanning down through the chest area. Through into the diaphragm. And then down through the abdomen, into the pelvic floor and the hips. And then all the way down the legs, through the knees, ankles, and the feet. Okay, so once we've done a scan, you probably picked up some areas where there's things going on, and we'll find out more about those in a moment. But what we're going to do now is going to zoom out kind of thing and do an overall assessment of our energy, just checking in to see how we're feeling overall. Okay, so just spend a moment doing that. Okay, now I'd like you to turn that into an image, and we're going to draw a sketch about energy, or you can write down anything you like about anything you notice generally. And then I'm going to run a poll in a moment about that. So this is our whole body scan. I'm going to write it down here, whole body scan. I'm going to draw a picture of my energy just generally. We'll come back to this drawing as we go through, because we're going to go into more detail as we do some of the vibrational level scans. Okay, if you've been coming along to any of our Wednesday classes that we've been doing in partnership with the Shiatsu College Norwich, you'll be very familiar. We do this every single week. But this is my scan for the beginning of the year. So I'd like to go a little bit deeper into that and find out what's happening. Okay, let's get the slides up again. I hope you've managed to draw your whole body scan. Let's have a look. Okay, so now I've added this in. Okay, what I thought we could do is we can do a bit of a TCM analysis of how our energy is. So I've got 5 categories here. I'd like you to vote which one of these best describes your key field. Does it feel balanced and strong? If it does, well done, that's excellent. Is it mainly obstructed or blocked? Do you generally feel weak and deficient? Or is it more of a temperature thing? Do you feel cold and slow, or a bit overactive or hot? Okay, so I've got a poll for that, and I'd just be very interested to find out as a group which of these best describes your key field. I'm going to share it, and you should be able to see the results. So here we are. Which one I know what I would vote for. I'm not allowed to vote as a presenter, but let's just see how we're doing. Woohoo, okay. Okay, well done everyone. Well, look at that. That's so interesting, isn't it? Look at that. Only 25% of the group voted for balanced and strong. So we've got plenty to work on now, and I would encourage you to join our Wednesday class if you would like some more input on that. But this is so interesting. Look, the majority is obstructed or blocked. And that's followed up by weak or deficient. And then there's a few colds and hots there in the mix. Okay, so what I thought I'd do is just give us some information here. And this is very broad-based information based on TCM, just for your interest. Basically, I've just gone through and given a very simple TCM correlate with each of those different states. So if you're feeling balanced and strong, that's congratulations. You've got good key, good balance there. Keep it like that. Please let us know what you're doing. Share what you're doing with as many people as possible. Okay, obstruction or blockage, as you know, I'm sure you know, that's usually associated with the liver. It's no surprise considering the condition that we're faced with at the moment with the pandemic, that there's a lot of stagnation, liver stagnation there. Of course, that can also, long-term stagnation can lead to weakness or deficiency. And I'm sure you know, the production of ki, usually it's rooted in the kidneys, but also can involve the spleen or the lungs. So basically that means rest, look after ourselves, eat well, and breathe well to build up our ki. And then we get into the yin and yang deficiencies. So if you're feeling a bit cold, that means you're probably yang deficient. Usually what we recommend is getting the more yang energy, usually tonifying the kidney yang or the spleen yang. And if you're a bit overactive and hot, which is probably what I would have voted for myself here, judging by my picture, then really what we need is some, we categorize that as yin deficiency. So we need a bit more yin. So I've actually got some recommendations. This is new this year, I hope. So basically, here's the most obvious TCM recommendations that we might want to reflect on. For those of you who are in the good key area, just keep doing what you're doing. We all know this, but just to remind ourselves that if we're prone to stagnation, basically movement and expressing ourselves are recommended according to Chinese medicine. If we're suffering more from deficiency, which almost, about a fifth of us are, then it's basically deep rest, nutrition and breathing that's recommended. If we're more yang deficient, then we tend to feel cold and slow. Careful activity just to build up the yang, balanced by rest and warming foods is what we need. And this is what I need, yin deficiency. If you're a bit hot and overactive, then grounding exercises, deep rest and cooling foods, right? So I better cut down on the Christmas sherry there, I think, to help myself out there with the heat. Okay, so I just thought I'd add that in. I mean, it's all very obvious, but sometimes the obvious things are the best in terms of looking after ourselves. Okay, so now we get on to the levels. This is the next stage of scanning. And what we're going to do, let me just check and see if I've got the slides. Yes, here we go. So basically, here's what you need to do. And I'm going to draw this on my own piece of paper here. Got my piece of paper. And I'll just simply draw a cross like that. And put physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual there. Okay. And you know what? I think I'm going to maybe just sit and do this one. I'll lead you through it. So what we're going to do is we're going to basically do a scan. We're going to do an overall scan 4 times, and then we're going to draw 4 different drawings here, depending on, what we feel or what happens when we tune in on all of these 4 levels. And this is a baseline exercise because we're going to use this later on in a few more minutes to scan our energy into the year ahead. So we're just going to kind of check in with ourselves and see how we're feeling. So are you ready? So this is exercise number 2. I'm going to keep this one. This is my number 1 exercise. And yeah, let's go and do the vibrational levels. I'll do it with you, and we'll just close our eyes. I think we're going to do it sitting down. I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to tune in on all 4 levels. And then what we can do is draw it as we get the information. Are you ready? Okay, so first of all, just sitting comfortably. We're just going to relax now. I'm closing my eyes and just taking a moment to just relax. Take a few easy breaths. Okay, so first of all, we're going to tune in on the physical level. So just scanning through our body and just asking ourselves, what is our energy like on the physical level? Okay, so now that information, we're going to turn that into an image. And we're going to draw a picture of our key on a physical level. Okay, are you ready? So you can open your eyes. And I'm just going to do that now. Just a nice quick sketch of the main things that we experienced, when we tuned in on the physical level. I'm just going to remind myself here. Okay. Okay, good. Got it? Okay, ready to go up a level? Okay, so here we go. We're going to do the same thing again. We're going to close our eyes, take a few nice, easy, relaxed breaths. Okay, very good. So now we're going to ask ourselves, what is our key like on an emotional level? So we're going to scan our whole body energy on an emotional level. Okay, you got that? I'm going to turn that into an image. Just the main things that you notice. Okay, we're going to open our eyes and draw in the second box here, the emotional level. And you can ask yourself, how is it different from the physical level there? Okay, well, I've found out quite a lot about myself already, and I'm sure you're probably the same. Okay, cool. Are you ready to go up another level? Okay, so we're going to go up onto the mental or the mind level now. Let's see what it feels like to do that. So we're going to close our eyes again. Take a few nice, easy breaths. Okay, now we're going to tune in on the mind level or the mental level and just see what that's like. Okay, and we're going to turn that into an image. Okay, and then when you're ready, you can open your eyes and draw that in the third box, the mental level. Okay. Right. Okay, and finally, we're going to go for the spiritual level, whatever that means for you. And we're going to do the same method again. Are you ready? So we're going to just, again, sit, relax, take a few easy breaths. And now tuning in on the spiritual level. What is that like? And if you had to turn that into an image, what would it look like? Okay, we got it. So then we're going to draw that in the fourth box. Excellent. Okay, just going to draw a few little extra things in here. Okay, look at that. This is my 4 levels scan for the beginning of 2022. Definitely some work is required. I'm sure you feel exactly the same as I do. There's plenty of work to be done. And we're going to find out in a minute how that pattern relates to the year ahead. Okay, so I've got some polls for you first, though, before we go on any further. Let's have a look what we've got here. Oh, yeah, okay. So looking at these 4 levels, which felt the clearest or the smoothest? The ones that felt the clearest or the smoothest generally in your energy. So this is just to evaluate how we're feeling on different levels. And we're going to use that to plan the year ahead or get into a touch with the energy of the year ahead in a moment. So I'm going to share that poll. Okay, which level felt the clearest or the smoothest? Let's see if we can get a consensus here. Wow, what a group we've got here. Look at this. We've got well over 2/3 of you find the spiritual level is the clearest. So obviously we've got work to do. I think I'll probably vote for that myself. We've obviously got work to do to get that lovely clearness down into the other levels, okay? So followed secondly by the emotional level. Okay, so that if that felt the clearest and the smoothest, the next poll asks you kind of the reverse, poll 3, which level felt the most challenging? I'm going to share that poll with you. Which level was the most challenging? So looking at your picture, which is the one that you think you've got the most challenge there? So let's just see, and this will give us a really good idea. Just going to launch this. There we are. Oop. Let's have a look here. Share it. There we are. Which level was the most challenging? So interesting. Look at that. It's pretty much even all the way between physical, emotional, and mental. So that's really interesting. And it's so interesting that the spiritual level is just completely an outlier there in terms of challenge and also in terms of what was the most clearest. And so that tells us a lot, doesn't it, about us as a group of Shiatsu practitioners worldwide, about how we can pull on our strengths and what we need to work on. Okay, that's absolutely so interesting and very, very, very exciting. So now the next phase of the webinar is to start thinking about what we'd like to have happen in the year ahead. But before we do that, what it would be a really interesting idea would be to work on how this pretty dramatic energy pattern that we've got just by scanning can apply into the year ahead. So I'm going to start a new piece of paper and we'll go on to the next slide. Okay, and so here we are. Okay, this is exploring 2022. That's the year ahead of us. Okay, and we're going to use some clean questioning here. We're going to use some of these things that we've learned from Nick over the last year. We're going to go through the energy resonance we have, and we're going to use a series of clean questions. Are you ready? Okay, I'm going to do this sitting down. This is exercise 3. I've got my paper ready. I hope you have. And I'm going to get you to close your eyes, and then I'm going to read out the questions, the clean questions, and then hopefully what will happen is an image, or dare I say, a metaphor or a pattern or some kind of information will come about as a result of us doing those clean questions. So let's do it. Okay, so we're going to first of all just relax again. I'm going to close my eyes, take some nice easy breaths. So let's find out about how 2022 is to us. Okay, so imagine that you've got 2022 in front of you, and you can just imagine it in any way you like. Imagine it's in front of you and ask yourself this question: what is it like? What is 2022 like? Okay, you can open your eyes at any time to draw or write anything down on this exercise 3 piece of paper here. Let's follow it up with another clean question. What kind of year is 2022? So keeping our eyes closed, relaxing, imagining 22 in front of us. What kind of year is it? Or what is it like? Does it have a shape? Does it have a color? In which case, what color would it be? Does it have a sound? Can you hear what it's like? What does it sound like? Okay, what's its texture? Does it have a smooth, rough, or what kind of texture is it? What is its texture like? Okay, so if you just like to spend a moment drawing down or noting down what you experience, I'll just share what I've got. I think the next slide is, yeah, sharing experiences on chat. So before you do that, you're probably still drawing. I'd just like to show you my one, which is kind of like a little bit crazy. The shape was kind of round, like a tube going in, and then I've had this diamond shape coming up. I got blue as the color, and it was very, very noisy with loads and loads of music all around it like this. But it's almost like felt like a kind of tunnel there. So if you can just describe, once you finish drawing, maybe you want to just share a few things about your 2022 clean questioning. Oh. Argo got the tunnel the same as me. Okay, so maybe that's a common thing, just imagining the time going through. Linda got a green open field that's flat in the sun. That's a pretty good image. That's a very good metaphoric image. Yeah, field. Yeah, got that. Yeah, that's great. Sounds really good. New horizon and new dawn, Alex. Yeah, pinkish sky. Oh, there's lots of pinks and greens going on, Loretta. Pastel colours. From Jenny, open green. We've got a lot of open green vistas there with Martin, Julia. A warm, comforting moss. Wow, look at that. That sounds great. Something with the wing totally white. Francisco Kirsten, Maria. A tunnel, another tunnel. A lot of light coming in, pink and green. There's hope, but it has a mixed texture. Yeah, I think I got that actually. Rachel, because I got kind of like a little bit of a rough texture around my diamond there that I was, thought I needed swirling out. Wow. Okay. So many inputs to the chat. Fantastic. What a lot of images. Great. Jenny got children laughing on the beach as well as James who got the shore. That's absolutely awesome. Thank you so much. And we've got a sound from John. That's very good. Thank you, Simonetta, for the red and grey. And Tina, waves, wind, trees. Wow, okay, what a lot of images we've got. That's absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much for posting. I'll let Shakura read through that as I go on to the next slide and see what we've got next in store after this exercise. Let's have a look. Okay, so let's find out a little bit more generally about how clear your vision is. How clear is your vision for 2022? We've got a poll for that. So how easy was it to visualize? But judging by the chat, there's a lot of images there. So let's see, how clear is your vision for 2022? How easy was it to visualize using those clean questions? Just get some general feedback on that. Good. Okay, so Nick will be delighted. It really does work. Clean questions are very good like that. And in fact, the very fact that it's not clear is information in itself. So there's no right or wrong here. And hopefully by the end of the webinar, we'll be able to improve even on that pretty awesome 73% of you having clear or very clear visions there. Okay, so that's really great. Right, so let's move on. So now we've done some really useful groundwork, because what we've done is we've tuned into our own key, we've tuned into our levels, and we've also looked ahead and created, using clean questions, a really interesting, a lot of information on what it's like, what this year ahead is like for us, so that we can work with it. So now, in the latter part of this webinar, we're going to start by testing our key field with that information that we have about the year ahead. And that's where we get down to the really deep stuff about how we can relate to the year ahead and learn really about what we can do to help ourselves and help others around us, using the positive aspects that we've got and how we can do that. So let's get the slides up and see what we've got next. Okay, right, so now this is the next stage of the webinar, which is exercise 4. And what we're going to do with this is we are going to test our vibrational levels with the year ahead. I think I'm going to stand up for this, actually, just to get myself really in the full body energy mode for this. So what we're going to do is you need a 4-level chart for this again. So I'm going to do my 4-level chart: physical, emotional, mental, and spiritual. I'm going to take this off. So we've got them for full screen. Yeah, okay. So I've got my 4-level chart. And what we're going to do now is we're going to enter into that, whatever you have in exercise 3, which is your information about 2022. And we're going to enter into it with our different energetic bodies, and we're going to find out what happens, or what's going to happen in terms of our relationship on the different levels. Are you ready? Okay, I'm going to lead you through this nice and slowly. We're going to do it nice and slowly to get as much information as we can. I'll be drawing my my energy patterns as well along with you. I'm going to do it standing up just so that I can get the whole full body experience. I've got my chart right next to me here. Okay, so here we go. So this time we're going to just stand. We are going to just release our physical body a bit, just to get everything connected up a little bit more. Okay, so like a lot of you had tunnels, landscapes, shapes, different colors, sounds, textures, things like that. So using our memory of that information we got from the clean questions, we're going to create that in front of us, and then we're going to test that against or with, in resonance with, our 4 levels. And from that, we're going to get a lot of information about how we can use our strengths and how we can develop our relationship with the year ahead. Are you ready? Okay, so here we go. We're going to just relax. I'm going to close my eyes now. Okay, and I'm going to recreate that image of 2022 in front of me. And I'd like you to do the same thing. Use that information, those metaphors, colors, textures, sounds, and create that experience of 2022 in front of you. Have you got it? Okay. So now we're going to tune in on the physical level of our body. Okay. And tuning on the physical level, just imagine that you're entering into 2022, all that information field that you have created through the clean questions, and see what happens to your physical body. Notice any changes as you enter into that information. Okay, very good. Now, just picking some of the most important changes or feelings or movements or anything that happened when you did that, turn that into an image. And that gives us information on how our experience of 2022 is going to affect our physical body. So, and I've got quite a bit of new information here myself. I'm sure you have too. I'm just going to put that down. So I'm just going to draw a picture of myself, my physical body walking into that information around 2022. Okay. Okay, excellent. You got it? Okay, excellent. Right, so now we're going to go for onto the emotional level and see what happens. Okay, so here we go. Again, relaxing, shaking out, just to shake out some of that physical energy stuff that I've just got into. And I'm going to just quieten my breathing down again. Bring back that image or that information that we had from the clean questions about 2022 again, to bring that, all those sounds and colors and textures, whatever you had, images, and bring that in front of you again. Okay, cool. Right, so now we're tuning in on the emotional level. So we're imagining our emotional body, and we're imagining that emotional body going into that year, into the year, and see what happens when you go into resonance with that information. And you can ask yourself, is that different from the physical reaction you had? And if it is, in what way is it different? What's happening to your emotional body as you connect with that information? Okay, excellent. You can turn that into an image or some words that you want to write down. And this is in the second part of the box. This is in the emotional level. Wow. Okay. Excellent. Very good. Okay, fantastic. So now let's go on to the last two levels and see what 2022 has in store for our mental and spiritual bodies. So we're going to do the same thing again. Just going to shake out, see if I can get rid of some of that emotional patterning that I've experienced from the previous exercise. I'm just going to clear my energy a bit, and we're going to relax again. Take a few easy breaths. Okay, and now we're going to recreate that information about 2022 that we did from the clean questioning, the sounds, the colors, the textures, the shapes. Okay, until you get it back again. Wow, okay, right. So now we're going to go with the mental body. That's the mind body, okay? That's your thoughts, concepts, your mental level, and see what happens as we go into that year. So imagine you're going into 2022, into that information field. What happens to your mental level energy? Okay, excellent. Okay, and you can compare that to we can compare that to the first two, the physical and emotional. How different was it? And I'm going to draw that in the third box. Okay, so you should now have 3 drawings. I won't show you mine yet. And we've just got one more left to do, and then this stage will be complete. Okay, so we're going to go for the spiritual level now, and I'm just going to shake out a little bit, relaxing the mind, and a few easy breaths. Okay, let's create that experience of the information of 2022 again, the sound, the textures, the colors, shapes. Okay, and then we're going to go tune into our spiritual body, okay, and see what happens as we enter into that information field for 2022 with our spiritual body, and see what happens. Okay, so let's do that. So imagining we're going in. What happens? What is happening now? Okay, and as soon as you get some information happening that you can draw, then please put that down in the fourth box. Wow. Okay. Well, I've learned a lot in the last 40 minutes, a lot of information, and just want to share mine with you right now. Look at that. Look at the difference. The physical level was way the most contracted, and I felt quite a lot of issues there really coming in, whereas in direct contrast to the mental and emotional level, where I felt much more expansion going on there. So that's something I've definitely got to look out for. I've got some polls so that we can find out how you've done as a group, how we've done as a group, and let's just check in with the polls. Okay, so which felt the clearest and the smoothest level? When I mean say the clearest now, the smooth, I mean which of these four levels do you think is going to be the easiest one going forward into 2022? What's the most kind of like smoothest, most positive aspect, do you think, of those four levels? And let's find out which is of these. I'm going to share that poll right now and we'll find out. I just think what I would put myself. Which is the most kind of expansive, the smoothest and clearest one? Okay, look, and we've definitely playing on our spiritual level strengths there as a group. Interesting enough, the mental level came through second with 17%. So thank you for voting for that. But we can still see that we really are playing on our spiritual level strengths. For me, I suppose, I'll just show you my chart. I think the most interesting thing for me was just how expansive these levels were for me. But I don't know if you had this, you know, exactly what the experience was for yourself. It'll be individual. But if it's anything like what's happened to me, I've got a lot of information to go on. And I've got a second poll for you right now, which you can imagine is the next most obvious one, which is which level felt the most challenging? Where did you get the most contractive feeling or the most difficult level when you put those four energetic levels into your information field for 2022? And I'm going to just share that poll with you now. So which was the most challenging level? When you looked at those four levels, which was the most challenging? Let's just see. Right, so it looks like I'm in the most popular group here myself. So it's obviously something we've got to look up. Those of us who put the physical, emotional one or mental levels, obviously those are things we've got to watch out for, and we need a bit of a plan to look after ourselves. Because let's face it, when you're doing Shiatsu, our body energy is our tool, and it's the most valuable thing we've got. It's our most valuable piece of capital equipment that we've got. So it's a really big incentive for us to really spend some time investing in looking after ourselves, and finding out what we need is, of course, step one. So really want to say thank you for taking this time just 1 hour in the year to just really focus in on what we need and how our body energy is working. Okay, cool. So let's see what we got next. Okay, so finally we come to the outcome question. Thank you, Nick Pohl and Clean Language. This is where we really can let our imagination and our imagination free to, this is exercise 5, if you want to put this down. We're going to do the what would you like to have happen question. This is the outcome question in Clean Language, and it allows us an ability or space to just explore what we would like to have happen. And we've really prepped for that. We've prepared really, really well for that in the last 45 minutes. We've got lots of information there. So we should be able to let that go into our subconscious and use all that information to help us create a kind of image or picture of what we would like to have happen. Okay, so I'll lead you through it. I'm going to do it sitting down again now. I've got exercise number 5 on my sheet here ready. I'm ready and waiting for that. And just to remind you what we're going to do, I'll just put the slide up again, which is what would you like to have happen? We're going to experience our relationship to 2022. That's all that information that we got through the clean questioning earlier. And we're going to ask ourselves, what would you like to have happen? And then we're going to draw or write it down. Okay, so are you ready? So we're going to sit first of all comfortably, or you can stand if you like. Let's just take some time on this because this is really worth doing as thoroughly as we can. So I'm going to sit. I'm going to just relax. You take some nice easy breaths. Really take some time. Create some space. Okay, so now let's visualize or remember all that information that we had about 2022. Remember, what is it like? What kind of year is it? What shape is it? What texture? What color is it? What does it sound like? Get that information back up. Okay, and now bring yourself, let's bring ourselves into the picture. So we've got that information with all of those 4 levels relating to that year. So let's bring that into the information field. Okay, got it? Okay, so we're just going to sit with that now. And now we're going to ask the outcome question. What would we like to have happen? Notice what's happening to your own energy. And notice how the information about 2022 is now changing in front of you. Okay, so what would you like to have happen? And now we can do, this is exercise 5. Get my pen before I forget. Here we go. Yes, so what probably happened was you felt changes in your own energy, changes that you'd like to have happen, and that interaction quite possibly maybe changed the shape, the color, the texture, the sound, or any other aspect of the information. And that gives you a kind of metaphorical image of what you'd like to move and change and what you'd like to have happen in 2022. So let's take a moment to write that or draw that down. I had several different things happen to my image. So I'm just going to write that down and just get it back. What would I like to have happen here? Okay. Okay, whoa. Okay, remember this one? That was, I just share what I've got. You notice that I've got some pretty rough textures here and a bit of a noise, quite a lot of noise going on around the outside. And this kind of this diamond shape kind of squashing my circle. And this is what I'd like to have happen. Look at that. The circle's smoothed out. The music's got clearer and more harmonious. And that's my emotional center there, connecting with that movement, smoothing out. So that's really something to reflect on. It's going to take me, I think, probably the rest of the week to think about what that really means and how I can really bring that outcome question into reality. Wow, okay. Pretty amazing stuff. Let's just get back to the slides. We've only got less than 10 minutes left. Time's gone really, really fast. I'll just have a quick look at the chat. Right, shedding old fur, says Sue. That's a really good image, isn't it? Whoa, okay. So anyone else want to post on the chat? What would you like to have happen? Oh, Gudrun, I found this a very amazing little journey. Yeah, clean questions are so great, aren't they? We've got an orchestra going on, says Jane. That's brilliant, yeah. Okay, quite a lot of changes in the sounds there, actually. That's interesting. The textures changed as well. Brilliant. Okay, excellent. So seems like pretty much everyone's had some kind of a real, yes, that's Kirsten, that's a lovely image. Open space got filled and a real spark of in the belly like excitement, enthusiastic spaciousness, says Dawn. Relaxation of the situation, Ridra, that's really good. What do you like to write? Love, light and peace, Laureen. There we are. Excellent. Some really good images coming there. And isn't it so fascinating just how much information the clean questions can help you structure? I've been absolutely amazed. I mean, I love doing this. I'm really, really happy that you've taken the time to join in with me. So yeah, if you'd just like to share any of the changes that you've got on the chat. Fantastic. And hopefully that relationship with the challenges that we've got inside us, and I also say the positive aspects we've got, that relationship can help us really focus on our strengths, work on things that we need to do in order to have more of a kind of a clarity of what we'd like to have happen. And I think starting off with the sort of metaphoric images, we can then translate that down into individual actions in our lives and maybe things we want to change, things we want to create when we're through the year. So interesting, yeah. Oh, that's interesting. Look, Maria had a challenge there. She didn't like the mental level because it started to demand things about the year. So that's really interesting. So it's not always that, sometimes it's the challenging things that can really make a difference. Compartments melting into a bowl with a shiny color, says Petra. Excellent. Fantastic. So many fantastic revelations there. Okay, we've only got 5 minutes left. Okay. Right, okay, now we've just got 5 minutes left to do the final exercise, which is making it more concrete. And so what I'd like to do is, this is exercise 6, and this is practical steps. And you can do this at any time using this information. We've got all these drawings here. What we're going to do now is we're going to be thinking about the relationship to 2022 that we've evolved and what we'd like to have happen. Just writing down 3 things that would make that clearer or will help that move that on for you in the year ahead. So we're turning this into positive actions that we can take or things we can focus in on. Are you ready? Okay, so here we go. This is a final exercise. I'm going to do it sitting down. So we're just going to close our eyes, okay, and we're going to tune into that movement of ki that you've just described so brilliantly on the chat there. We're going to get back into that movement. Okay, so thinking about what we would like to have happen, can we think of 3 things that we can list that will help that process become clearer? Thinking about our own energy, things we can do for ourselves, things we can do for others, things that we can do in our environment. So let's just meditate on that and give ourselves some space. Really take some time, just relaxing. And see if anything comes up that you can list down. It can be as general as you like or as specific as you like. Okay, and think of another one. I've got 2 so far. So let's just relax, create a bit more space. Okay, what I found myself doing was just concentrating on the biggest movements that I got with the what would I like to have happen, and the textures changing, maybe the colors changing, and just figuring out what practical things could I do to make that textural change or that color change. Okay, how about that? Okay, I'm not going to show you my 3. This is private. You keep them private to yourself, reflect on them, and come back to them in a few weeks and have a look. I would recommend that you have a look back at your drawings. It's been a very intensive hour. We've done a lot of energy work, a lot of clean questioning with a little bit of TCM thrown in, and hopefully that will really help us set ourselves off for the new year. Okay, so finally, thinking about your vision at the start of this webinar, what's your vision like now? In other words, has the webinar given you any information that makes it clearer about how you'd like to work in the future? This is a very final poll as we finish up. So has it been a success for you in the last hour? If you've found it clearer, is it about the same? Or maybe you've got so much information that you're going to have to spend a bit more time processing it. So let's see. Okay, cool. Excellent. Very good. Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate you joining me for this hour. I've just got a few more slides with some news. We've got 1 minute. Thank you, Shakura. We have got a program emerging for January to March. Very excited about this. We've got an advanced quantum shiatsu course with Nicola Lee and Gabriella Polly. It's actually open for registration now at newenergywork.com on the homepage, but obviously we'll be emailing you around with you, and that's for a totally open course. Really looking forward to that. We're announcing ISCO this year. In March is going to be ISCO Swiss. We did ISCO Italia last year. We did ISCO Amsterdam the year before. So this year we're going to engage with the Swiss Shiatsu scene. We're going to be preparing that over the next few weeks. And also we've got some cool new ideas for those of you who are subscribers, who are in our professional premium members. We've got a new pro forum coming up to give you 24-hour support with your clients. We've got more tutorials coming up. We've got a brand new Ask the Expert, which we've told you about. Nick Pohl was the first one to do one of those Ask the Expert sessions. And for premium members, we're actually planning to start doing some one-to-one supervision. So lots of exciting stuff coming up between January and March. If you haven't joined us yet, please join us and ensure that we can keep going and we can keep adding more and more benefits to new energy work. Next week, we're going to have Vision 2022 Professional. We're going to take some stuff from the Successful Practice course, and we're going to help you to build your practice up using energy work techniques. We've got the support forum coming up. We've got some tutorials, Ask the Expert, as I just mentioned, and some supervision stuff. So just join us if you haven't done already. We've got an offer, 1 month free offer on at the moment. So there's no excuse for helping us out and keep going and having lots more new energy work fun. Okay, and that's it. That's the end of the webinar. Thank you so much. I really enjoyed it, and see you soon on another event. And thank you, Shakura, for looking after the chat. Okay, see you next time.